You're watching Inside the Rosita League.
Well, cuz week 2 was kind of a mess, wasn't it?
Another messy week.
I think one of the great stories of the week was all the close games, especially the two 1 point games that we saw in our league. Heartbreaking losses, but gutsy wins for those who.
Absolutely. Yeah, a couple of close ones there. Just happy to be on the right side of it.
Yeah, I've definitely been on both sides in the 14 years or so that I've been doing fantasy.
It's tough to
But
lose a close one, but yeah.
before we go on, though, I think it's worth mentioning that there were a, a lot more brutal injuries that we saw this past weekend. Uh,
Yeah.
Nick Chubb is the one that comes to mind, and
Mhm.
this is something that transcends the NFL, transcends fantasy, of course. We just hate to see that. And there is a
Yeah.
movie recommendation I would have for everyone, and it's Concussion, starring Will Smith. It's a very good movie, and I won't get into it much now, but it's worth a watch just to see some of the issues that are ongoing in the NFL. But yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, we can get into the match by match recaps now, and let's start with a heartbreaking loss to KBA. Tanny
Yeah.
was the victor here, 130 to 129.
Yeah, it was a close one. I know she was hoping for one of the like a stat correction there. So close.
Well, it's Tanny had the defense of Carolina and Eddie Pinero of Carolina, so he was the kicker. And
Oh yeah.
he needed exactly 19 points to win or 18 points to tie, and was able to get by with 19 points for the win.
Wow. Was that the last? Oh, Carolina was on. That was last night.
Just last night, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Nail biter.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a near sure win for KBA, but
Yeah. Went in
just
with a
fell on
nice lead.
well, one thing I will say, not just for KBA, but for Nabs and for Uncle Dwayne and Auntie Carmen, last year, Rach and June started out 0-3, and they still were able to win the Arsenio Bowl in the long run. So it's the marathon has only just begun here.
Yep, that's a good point. Still early.
I face KBA this coming week.
Ooh, that'll be a good matchup.
It'll be good. It's a near must win for KBA, I would say, because, well, it's more of a must win to avoid a must win situation the following week,
Right.
because you don't
Hmm.
want to go 0-4 later on. But
No.
to stop from getting to that point, it's nice not to go 0-3. For me, and I'll get into my match later on, my team is pretty banged up as it
Right.
stands. So it should be an interesting match. Good win
Hmm.
for Tanny, just the same here. Any
Yep.
other um, nugget of interest for this match?
No, I think they're both looking pretty good.
I
Just
think they
Kenny
are.
got the better of this week. Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to DC Universe against Left Side. This is a civil war of the bloodline of the
Yep.
Ennis family.
Going into this, unless there was a tie, one of us was going to end up 0-2. And,
Right.
hate to see it happen to D Money.
I'm sure you hate it very much.
Yeah, no, I was watching that game last night and it was down to his Cleveland defense. He was actually up one,
Yep.
and I just needed Pittsburgh to score one more point and get in the next range to get them to have 1 point for points allowed instead of 3. And they didn't even get the offensive score. The defense scored a touchdown, and I got the extra point, which was enough to do it.
There you go. Still
Yeah.
fresh in your memory, I can tell too.
Yeah, it was a stressful night.
DC Universe, despite being 0-2, is still looking pretty good.
Yep, Devontae Adams finally had a big game for him. Higgins went off, better than Tanny's Jamar Chase as far as Bengals wide receivers go. But
Yeah. Well, the deal breaker here was Keenan Allen on your side.
yeah, he had a huge game. Love to see it when it goes into overtime, free points. I also had Hopkins in that game who never did much, but Keenan Allen more than made up for that. So,
well, speaking of which, some of your other players didn't do much either.
yeah, Johnson, tight end. I mean, got to look into a new tight end, but Jamal Williams ended up after 2 carries, pulled a hamstring or something. I don't know.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah,
Well,
flex.
one factor that is worth mentioning is that your team, left side, has the least amount of total points for so far in the season.
That is a good, interesting fact.
And yet you're 1-1 and looking
1-1.
looking in good shape actually. So yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
No,
still early.
could be worse. Yeah. Had some potential out of Kirk on my bench. So once I get that flex spot sorted out, I'm optimistic.
And reason to be. All right. Next match. This could be one of the stories of the year in the making. Seattle Felix.
Right.
Big win against Lisa. 139-113.
Yep. Jared Goff was looking good. He picked a good quarterback. He's looking strong back-to-back weeks. He's 2-0, right?
He is 2-0. Top of the West right now. And fresh off a vacation in Mexico as well.
Oh, so he's feeling good.
Must have been one heck of a vacation. And obviously fantasy was not on his mind too much, but he did text me and he was very happy about his quarterback, and he was still in Mexico at the time.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'd be a nice surprise to come back to.
Yeah, Lisa's team is looking okay.
Yeah, not bad.
Barkley, unfortunate injury.
Yeah, Brown didn't have quite a week for her, but overall she's looking good. Just had a couple of low scores out of her wide receivers, running backs there, but 113, not bad.
Well, she faces Omar and Jake this coming week. And it'll be interesting to see how Gibbs is used because of the Montgomery injury. So I think she'll be looking good this coming matchup.
She's got
the
some
Sconeway Bowl, if you will.
Yep, there you go. It might not be a Lisa bye week anymore. She's scored pretty good 2 weeks in a row.
That is a good point. Who is going to be the one who has the designation of having kind of the bye week aura about them? So far, I don't see the team.
Might be me. We'll see.
Well, and if it is, then we'll do a flashback to this clip here in a few weeks and have a good laugh about it.
Yeah, have a good laugh.
All right. Another team that is starting out 0-2. The next match here is Nabs, who falls to 0-2 thanks to facing Town Business.
Yeah.
Town Business, of course, he only needed 1 point from George Pickens, and he got a whole lot more than that, 27.
Yeah, 27 was a bit overkill, but yeah, it just goes to show you how stacked Chuck and CJ are.
Yes, and for Nab's part, 129 points is not bad at all.
Not bad at all. I think it's tied for third highest of the week. So, yeah. just a tough matchup. Maybe fourth
Yeah,
highest, but
right
still.
up there though. Kind of how
Mhm.
Team Mara last week had the highest score in the West, but wasn't able to overcome the dominant force of Chuck and CJ.
Absolutely. They do it again. They're beating teams that are scoring in the high 120s, no problem.
Yep.
Could be trouble.
And having scored 313 points combined in weeks 1 and 2, Chuck and CJ have that extra stock with them, and that could come in handy down the road.
Absolutely.
All
Off
right.
to a good start. Just too bad for Nabil. He's also in a must win to not get in a must win
Yes.
situation next week.
Well, I mean, for some of these teams here, running backs are an issue due to the injuries that we've seen. And with the waiver wire happening, well, it's already happened by the time people have seen this. Likely a lot of good running backs are no longer on the board at this point.
Yeah,
So it remains to be seen how these teams that are already starving for running backs will do once week 5 happens in a few weeks, because week 5 is the start of the bye weeks. And there are 10
yeah,
bye weeks in a row from week 5 through week 14, which happens to be the end of a regular season. So people have to do some work here with their running back depth for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, I know I need to, but you know who doesn't? Chuck and CJ.
Oh, I gotcha. Yes.
Everyone's running backs are struggling, and theirs combined for, I don't know, 47 points. So,
It's a new year, it's a new season. And yes, if you take into account the previous seasons, they're on quite a record now in the last 20 or 30 games that they played.
mhm.
Question though is, could there still be a regression to the mean that we haven't seen yet? And the regression would be to fall back to earth somewhat.
Right. There's only
I,
one way to go.
yeah. Or are they just on a tear for a few seasons in a row? That's
Probably.
one of the stories. All right, now move on to the grind versus Mike. And the grind's loss here, this is the first loss in 8 games. And so they had a 7-game winning streak, but it was finally snapped.
Right. Yep. I remember we were talking about that last time. So the 14 is still safe.
I think
Was there a RB1 injured or?
Brees Hall, I'm not sure what's going on there. He was definitely not in the news for injuries this past week.
He wasn't.
I think there has been some talk of discontent on his end in general. I'm not sure if that's what led to the 0 fantasy points, but it sure led to, or what is the biggest factors of Rachel June's loss here.
Absolutely. I mean, Najee Harris also didn't do too good, which could have helped out, but yeah, it was just here and there. Defense, kicker, flex for Mike just gave him just enough to get ahead.
And whatever the case, Mike moves up to 2-0 for the season.
Yep.
Good for him.
Good for him. Way to go, Mike.
All right, now on to my match, which was disappointing on multiple levels. I lost 130 to 109 to Middle Child. Congratulations, John and Noah.
Right. Way to go, John and Noah.
2 concussions. One to Anthony Richardson, one to Waddle, and then an injury to Dave Montgomery. So my team is banged up.
Yeah. See a few questionable designations by those three, and those are pretty big players for you.
Yeah. It's kind of like having a bye week early in the season.
Right.
So
and
I'm
then
going to
your
have,
opponent doesn't have a bye week.
yeah, I have some work to do here, and I have a plan of attack. This is what I call my pump and dump board. So
All right.
I'm going to add what I'm going to get rid of. And I have a plan of attack on who I'm going to add on waivers tonight, who I'm going to add on free agency once the waivers clear. And it's looking very convoluted. I wish I could show you this, but obviously I
Maybe
would.
you just turn it around,
Yeah,
bounce some ideas off each other. Yeah.
there you go. All right. But yeah, it's for everyone. It's going to be an interesting waiver wire night. But having said that,
Absolutely.
John and Noah, they're still kind of at the bottom of the pile in the East, but it was a big win for them, and congratulations. Way to get back on track for sure after last
Right.
week's
Yeah.
debacle.
Beats 0-2 and 130, not bad.
And the final game, Team Mara versus Super Scrubs. And Team
Yeah.
Mara pulled it out 135 to 124. And it was somewhat in doubt towards the final stages of Monday night.
Mm-hmm. I think they made a good decision. I know last week we were talking. Hunter Henry was available on the waiver wire
Yes.
as one of the tight ends. Tanny could have started and won his first week one matchup, and it looks like they picked him up, and looks like he put up 17 points, which yeah, big part of their win there. So that's just showing early waiver wire moves already are making a big difference.
Well, they're going to have some work to do with Nick Chubb um,
Mm.
going out for the season. And again, not a cool thing to see. I did see part of the replay, and that was all I needed to see.
Yeah,
6
it was
points.
yeah, a pretty bad knee. I missed the actual play, but I did see him getting carted off, and it looked pretty grim.
That makes two horrible injuries that he's suffered in his football career so far, and they were both to the same knee.
Yeah, it's gonna be yeah, I don't know how you come back from that one.
Um, Looking at the RB depth of Team Mara, once you remove Chubb, the next
Mm.
one up is, of course, Connor, who is their RB2, now is basically their RB1, and
Yeah,
a whole bunch
nice
of
week.
other are okay running backs, but nobody can replace Nick.
Yeah, it's looking like for a lot of people, the RB2 slot's going to be just kind of like a fringe flex player. Just hope for the best.
Yes. But having
Hmm.
said that, Super Scrubs, they almost were able to come back. Olavi had a touchdown that should have been ruled not a touchdown because he clearly stepped out of bounds.
Right.
Other than that, 124 points, not bad. B minus.
No, not bad at all. Yeah, they're yeah, looking pretty good as well.
Josh Allen, again, great pickup in round 3 for Omar.
Absolutely. Just like they planned it. Oh
Yes.
man.
All right, James, any takeaways from this past week 2?
One of the biggest takeaways for me is I probably got to start hitting the waiver wire. A lot of running backs are getting injured, so I think now's the time to start using waiver picks, make some
Have,
moves.
have you held off until now? I haven't checked the current waiver list.
I should be near the top. I haven't checked.
Yes, you are 4th in order. I'm 5th in order, so you have one priority over me. Starting out 1, 2, and 3, Middle Child, Team Stubblefield, and Nabs, and then you, and then me. Obviously, by the time this is released tomorrow, that will be obsolete. But I mean, since it will be obsolete, we can talk about who the likely pickup is going to be there. I mean, it's Jerome Ford.
Right.
Somebody up there is going to get it. It's just a matter of whom. Is it going to fall to you? Is it going to fall to me? I don't think it's going to fall to me.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't think he will if it falls to me, but I don't think it'll fall to me either.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so having said that, my strategy is a whole bunch of plan Bs, plan Cs, and plan Ds. Here's the thing. I don't think Jerome Ford is the answer to any team right now. At best, he's going to be an RB2. He is, even though he had that explosive run yesterday that was almost a touchdown, but ended up at the 1 yard line. This reminds me of 2010 when Ryan Matthews went down, running back for the Packers. And then Brandon Jackson was the number one waiver wire pick of week 3, heading into week 3. Just didn't pan out. And a lot of people wasted their waiver wire positions on him, or their in fab money leagues, they wasted their fab money on him. And so I predict that this will be another one of those cases where Jerome Ford is kind of a red herring of sorts. But we'll see. Yeah.
So they'll give him the touches. It's just a matter of what he'll do with it.
They'll give him the touches for now. I think that they might look to get a free agent off free agency, somebody like a Kareem Hunt, or maybe make a trade for another disgruntled running back from another team.
Right.
But I just don't think I'm not feeling it with Jerome Ford at this point. But we'll see. I think it is worth the risk for some, but this early in the season, I think it's. Yeah, I'm not sure it's looking good.
Yeah.
Whichever team gets him, but we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
Well, my takeaway is Andrew, Seattle Felix.
Yeah.
There's just something about his approach that I think is a winning approach. And it's still early in the season here, but the momentum is definitely there, just based on how he's talking about his team and the strategy that he seems to be implementing. He's in a good spot right now.
Yeah, he seems focused this year. He was even texting me during the games, like sweating some tight end dilemmas,
Yeah.
I think he's in it to win it this year.
And any other takeaways on your end?
Honestly, I was gonna say this might be Andrew's year was my other takeaway. I was thinking the same thing. That and then just commenting on Chuck and CJ again. But I think we touched on that earlier.
Well, the mere fact that we both thought of Andrew as a takeaway says a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, it used to be an Andrew bye week.
Yes.
Once upon a time.
He's always been a candidate for most improved in basically every season up to this point.
That's a nice way to put it. Yeah.
All right. Well, and my final takeaway is that running backs, even the mid-tier ones, are gold.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this goes back to the draft where people were choosing kickers and defenses in rounds 11, 12, just 2 before the end. And in those rounds were these running backs that are the highest waiver wire picks right now. And so I think it's not the wide receivers. I mean, there's a lot of depth in wide receiver. There's a higher supply of them. But I think that we're seeing that now. By the time week 5 gets here, there's going to be a depletion of running backs that can be used. And it's going to be a whole bunch of tier 4, tier 5 backs that are started by a lot of our teams. So I think it's going to get ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. It is already kind of, running back strength, but for most teams, it's not really there. But yeah, now I'm going to have to spend some time trying to figure out if you're trying to bait me into picking Ford so you could get someone else, or if you are trying to talk me out of getting Ford. I just don't know what. I don't know what to think now.
By the time this is aired tomorrow and broadcast to the league, we will know.
We will know.
But good luck tonight, and on to week 3.
On to week 3. Thanks, Kaz.
All right.
All right.
Rest of the week. Take care.
Good luck, everyone.